I used to think of job interviews as a test, but it's really more like a first date. Yes, both are pretty intimidating and can be people's worst nightmare, but when prepared with the right insight, a bit of confidence, and the realization that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you, it can be a lot less stressful. Job interviews are the last piece of the job search puzzle, and they're an exciting milestone in your career journey. In today's video, I'm going to outline what you can do to prepare for your next job interview, so you can be a little less nervous and more authentically you. As a student in university myself and part of the co-op program, what I realized was the most important in preparing myself for my first real professional job interview was the process of practicing until you can't anymore. You never really know how the real interview is gonna go and what direction it's gonna lead in. But what you can do is prepare yourself as much as possible. Not going to lie, there's been times where I've gone to a job interview completely unprepared thinking that I could wing it. Pro tip, don't do this. Instead, do this. Research. Research the company, the role, the interviewer, anything that you can find out in advance. So spend a few hours learning everything you can from as many sources as you can. Talk to people in your network to find current employees as well as previous employees. Read current news releases, and yes, spend some time on Google. Candidates often just look at the information that a company is pushing out on their own website and social media accounts, but they fail to look more in depth at what others are saying. LinkedIn is also another amazing way to research, whether it is the company or the employees that you're researching. By looking at multiple sources, you're gonna get a broader picture of the company, and you'll be ready to talk about why you want to work there and what you can do for them. The interviewers will also expect you to have some type of knowledge on what the company does and what the role entails. In particular, you should have adequate information about the company's products or services. It's important to know the products and services they offer, even if the position that you're applying for isn't directly related to this. If hired, you will be representing the company, and therefore should know details about what they offer. You don't need to be an expert, but you should know the basics. This can help you during the interview if the interviewer asks you on any specific product-related questions. Or you can incorporate this knowledge into one of your answers to showcase the research and effort that you put in to prepare for this interview. The company culture. There was a time where information about a company's internal culture was difficult to obtain. But today, with most modern organizations having social media accounts and openly discussing their culture and industry dynamics, it's fairly easy to get a sense of. By understanding the company's culture, you'll get ideas about its values and whether or not you'd be a good fit within the company. Knowing that your values align with those of the company can make you more confident that this is the right opportunity for you and can again position you to draw on these values in your responses, thus showing that you're a great fit for the company. Review the job description carefully. It's important that you review the job description to understand what would be expected of you so you can explain how you will fulfill these expectations in the future for your employer. Interviewers have been known to complain about applicants that don't take the time to truly understand the requirements of the job to ensure that they're a good fit. So use the job description as a guide because it will specifically tell you the qualifications, experiences, qualities, and background that an employer wants in an ideal candidate. Familiarize yourself with these details and conduct a self-evaluation to determine if you qualify or if applying may be a waste of time. This will make you a lot more confident and the better your performance will be during your interview. However, if you don't qualify for the position, you may want to consider upgrading your skills so you can land that dream job. If tech sales is something you're extremely interested in, I highly recommend that you check out the courses that we offer at www.uvaro.com. Our courses range from 4 to 12 weeks and really prepare anyone who is looking to get into the industry. Now back to interview prep. There are many different ways that you can start preparing for your interview. You can start with practicing with mock interviews. Practicing for an interview is one of the most effective ways to prepare yourself, relieve your anxiety, and improve your confidence. This may be a tedious exercise, but the effort is really worth it. You can ask your friends or family to help you conduct mock interviews. If you don't have anyone you can ask for help, you can always use a mirror and practice responding to questions out loud so you can really see what it sounds and feels like. Practice a few times because the more you practice, the better you'll perform in an actual interview. During my time in university, I went through a couple of mock interviews at the Career Center, which was really helpful. They allowed me to see the formality and format of an interview, which made me feel a lot more comfortable when the real thing happened. You can also practice answers to common interview questions. There's no way to predict what you'll be asked during an interview, but there are some questions that are almost always brought up. Plan your answers for these questions, as this will give you a confidence boost and make you feel that you can be successful. Here are some of those frequently asked questions that we see in interviews all the time. Why do you want to work here? This is where your effort to learn about the company and its products and services will help you. You can answer this question by mentioning the aspects of the company that interest you and how the company's business activities are aligned with your goals and values. What interests you about this role? This question is your opening to highlight the skills that make you a worthy candidate for this role. You have already reviewed the job description and you are aware of the skills that you possess and the skills that your employer wants in an ideal candidate. Focus on those skills in your answer and convey why you feel like you're the right person for this job. What are your strengths? This is another opportunity for you to talk about your qualifications and your skills. Make this answer a bit personal and highlight attributes and qualities that will help you connect with the interviewers and convey your strengths at the same time. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. And check out our social media channels for more career success content. We post early career advice every Friday, so don't miss out. Practice with the STAR method. Whenever you're answering interview questions with a story, which is a great way to draw the interviewer in and paint a picture for them, you want to make sure that the story is well structured and the takeaway is clear. The goal should be to give your interviewer all the context that they need to understand what happened while still answering the question clearly and concisely. One way to do this is to use the STAR method. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. Here's what that means. Situation means to briefly lay out the scenario using just enough detail that the interviewer will understand the stakes and everything else in your answer. Task means to talk about what your role in the situation was. Action means to discuss what you did and why. And result means to tell your interviewer about the outcome and what you've learned. Note that for some questions, you may want to tweak the structure slightly. For example, if you're talking about a time where you demonstrated leadership skills, consider defining what leadership means to you before jumping into the situation. But your STAR method will ensure that your stories will always have a beginning, middle, and end. Practice quantifying your responses. Don't forget about the numbers. Find some revenue figures, engagement numbers, budget or team sizes, percentages of time saved, or anything else you can use to communicate your impact. Throwing in some hard numbers while you're talking about your responsibilities and accomplishments or answering behavioral questions really sweetens the insight and helps you tell a hiring manager why you're so awesome. You can even write them down and refer to them during your interview. Here's how to quantify your accomplishments even if you don't necessarily work with numbers all the time. Oversaw HR staff of 7 employees serving an office of 450 staff members, maintaining strong staff relationships to aid in retention and production. Led a staff of 20 employees with innovative policies that yielded a 27% increase in profits from the previous calendar year. Developed an innovative online marketing platform that produced top 3 results on all targeted keywords, yielding a 60% increase in organic search traffic and $17,000 of increased sales. Developed strong bonds with clients, resulting in long-lasting relationships and the title of #1 SaaS associate in the Northwest and top 3 sales associate nationwide. Practice behavioral questions. Behavioral questions are arguably the most challenging part of any job interview. Many people do not like answering them and struggle with it. I personally find it difficult to talk about myself, and behavioral questions are no different. Behavioral interview questions are based on the assumption that past behavior is the best indication of what future behavior will look like. In asking detailed questions about specific tasks that you undertook or experiences you had in a real-life setting prior, the employer can ascertain how you may react in similar situations in the role that you're interviewing for. When you hear the words, "Tell me about a time when," it's highly likely that the interviewer is asking you a behavioral interview question. Other variations include, "Describe a time when," "Give me an example of," "Have you ever," and the list goes on. So find out what skills and behaviors the employer is looking for, and mine your own CV to find examples that you think will demonstrate a good match for this role. And don't forget to look at the job description when answering behavioral interview questions. Job descriptions will have little hints of what employers are looking for, so you can frame your responses around stuff like that. Practice the CAR or STAR method out loud in advance, and if you remind yourself of the acronym while you're telling your story, you'll stay on point. And also, don't keep referring to the same experience if you're asked multiple behavioral questions. Arrive at an interview armed with a few different examples that you can adapt according to the different questions asked. And finally, don't get discouraged. After you've prepared yourself and applied all of this advice, if you still had a bad interview for a job that you truly truly thought you'd be a great fit for, don't give up. I personally had to go through dozens of interviews before I was able to secure my first job. It was tough, but each of those interviews prepared me further and was amazing practice for my professional career. Just because one interview didn't go your way doesn't mean the end of the world. Sometimes when an interview does not go your way, it could be due to a mismatch between your values and the company's. Sometimes your personalities don't necessarily mesh well, and it isn't the interviewer's fault or yours. So keep your head high and know that the right opportunity will present itself. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to like this video if you've enjoyed it, or check out Uvaro for more information surrounding how you can achieve the ultimate career success. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more career success content, early career advice, and Uvaro member stories. We help people change careers and enable them to land their dream jobs in tech. And remember that Uvaro is your career success company, and I'll see you in the next video.